Okay, I'm out in the Germain Robin cellars out in Redwood Valley. I want to talk a little bit about a brand that we developed, about a concept that we developed about 3 years ago. I was working the market in San Francisco, and I noticed that all of a sudden a lot of the good bars had little barrels sitting on the bar, and they were making cocktails in them, letting them sit for a while, and then pouring them. And it occurred to me that that's what we do. I mean, we age things in barrel. So I came back and we worked with a guy named Brandon Crawford, who is a bartender at a good bar in San Francisco called Bourbon and Branch. And we said to him, look, give us some, really straightforward recipes for cocktails based either on whiskey or on brandy, low gap whiskey made by Crispin Cain, Germain Robin brandy, or some combination of the two. And he gave us some recipes, and then we spent about 4 months meeting once a week. Me, Joe Corley from Germain Robin, Crispin Cain, and Brandon would come up once in a while and join the meetings. And what we would do is assemble the recipes and put them in one of these small casks. There's one of them up here. Actually, this one right here has got an experimental lot of an apple brandy Manhattan in it. We would put them together, assemble a recipe, a cocktail recipe, make a recipe. For example, right here, this is a brandy Manhattan, which is brandy and vermouth, and then put it in one of these barrels for a week or two, and the aging would be accelerated because it was in a small barrel, and we would taste it and then make adjustments. And two really interesting things happened. The first interesting thing was we found out that almost all of these, 3 of these cocktails include bitters. If we put bitters in them and age them for 6 weeks, we would wish they hadn't. No matter how little we put in, it would end up dominating the flavor of the recipe. So we ended up making them without bitters and asking you just add your own the way you would at a bar. And the second thing we found out was that the classical recipes, the classical proportions, so much brandy, so much vermouth, didn't work. That when you sat and left vermouth in the blend for 6 weeks in a barrel, it tended to dominate the drink. We had to cut way back. I mean, usually a Manhattan is about 1/3 vermouth. We ended up, I think, somewhere around 26 or 27%. But anyway, it was a long and kind of fun. Does this work? We're sitting around tasting all these different. We would make the brandy Manhattan 3 different ways and then taste it 2 weeks later. That was kind of fun. But anyway. And what I think is most important about these compared to other mixed drinks you can get is these were actually assembled by the people who made the products. And was Crispin Cain and his son Devin, who make the whiskey, and Joe Corley, who makes the brandy, are participating in the blending and in the actual producing these cocktails. They know their products extremely well because they made them. All right. So the way we make them is we assemble the blend, and then we put them back in used American oak barrels for 6 weeks. And in that period of 6 weeks, when somebody serves you a drink in a bar, what you get is some fairly complex ingredients that have been put together, and you're going to be drinking it right away. If you put it in a barrel for 6 weeks before you drink it, those products all have a chance to marry, to interact, to develop complexities that come from playing against one another. And we put once on one of our point of sale material, this is probably the best drink you've ever had. That's what usually happens when we pour this for somebody. This is the best Manhattan I've ever had. Because it's spent 6 weeks in an aged barrel, and these are made with especially good ingredients. We use Andy Quaddy's Via Vermouth. We use Clear Creek's cranberry liqueur. We use the Germain Robin Absinthe Superior. Anyway, these are very, very good cocktails. We make them in 2 sizes. This is for this is what we sell to bars and restaurants. The liter, people buy them when they're going to a party. This is the consumer size, which is a 200 ml. This is 2 really good sized drinks. It's about 6 ounces of a cocktail. That's 2 3-ounce cocktails, or 3 2-ounce cocktails if you're being a little more moderate about it. Okay.